Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, John Herold. Hope you like that little intro thinger there. That was made by Adam Riva from Dauntless Dialogue, and I figured I'd throw it in the mix, see how it goes. I might end up just using that altogether as the intro for the show. Can you guys hear me all right? Because I'm here in Nashville, and I have no idea if my stuff is working properly. We had some tech difficulties yesterday, so let me know if I sound all right. Sound is good? Okay. Thanks, guys. It's going to be difficult for me. I sound nasty? Come on, Jackie. It's going to be difficult for me to keep up with the chat today because I'm just on a laptop and not like my normal monitor setup. I sound like I'm in a tunnel. Okay, hold on. Y'all are picky. Got the microphone going. Let me turn up the gain a little bit. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Hold for processing. How's this? Is that too much? Is that too loud? Appreciate you guys being patient while I work through this. Too loud or good? Anyway, I'll just keep talking. If it sounds I have hair out of place, but I sound good. Okay, much better. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Yeah, so last night after the DPH, went out with Ty and JC and Carrie, and we just went to a little bar here. We were up kind of late, but as soon as I got back to the Airbnb, it starts like pouring, and it's super loud. I'm on the top floor of this building, and then all of a sudden I start getting alarms going off on my phone. Like, you know the Amber Alerts that go off on your phone? Well, it was that, except it was for tornado warnings, and that happened 3 or 4 times throughout the night. Thunder, lightning, all sorts of stuff. I have a leak in this Airbnb as well, a small one, but still a leak. The weather here is just crazy. So I'm glad I left the snow of North Dakota to come to the like tornado central, whatever, but no damage, nothing. I don't think an actual tornado came through. So I'm good. But anyway, got some news we're going to go through today. Obviously, I'm not as fully prepared as I normally would be, similar to yesterday, but still some interesting things going on that we are definitely going to talk about and should be fun to talk about. But before we do any of that, we got to get a quick word in from our 2 sponsors. So first up, we have our good friends over at Rise Attire.
By now, you've probably seen the new collab between Rise and Badlands Media, but I'll tell you what you haven't seen yet. The end of Clown World as we know it. But have no fear. Introducing the latest addition to the Badlands INTL lineup, the sequel to the best-selling Psy-War series. We've been conditioned by these clowns to accept their circus. But it's time to unwind that and strike them out the history books. The future belongs to the real, and we've got it in droves. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/rise for the full line of premium and direct-to-garment streetwear. Made to order right here in the good old US of A, the heart of the resistance. The fall of Clown World is upon us, patriots. Let's make it official.
Oh, love that merch. Make sure you guys check that out. Great way to support us is by supporting our sponsors. We got one more sponsor on today's show. Let me make sure I have the right video here. I do. Okay. Save Pulse. Good friends. They've been with us for a long time. Really appreciate their support. Today's show is sponsored by Save Pulse. Save Pulse, we are dedicated to keeping you and your family healthy with top quality medications like amoxicillin, azithromycin, ivermectin, and hydroxychloroquine at unbeatable prices. The streamlined ordering process makes it easy to stock up on health essentials. And now with exciting news about fenbendazole showing promise in cancer research, we are proud to offer this alongside our antibiotics and viral care meds. Don't wait. Prepare for any health scenario today. Get your supply and stay ahead of the curve with Save Pulse. Now you can save even more. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/meds and use the promo code SAVEHEALTH at checkout to get a 20% discount on orders over $100. And I always encourage people to get those meds, guys. Stock up. You never know what's going to happen. A couple housekeeping things real quick before we get into the news. Yes, I am aware of all the BS going on. We kind of touched on this a little bit last night. I know there's more coming out today. I haven't read through any of it, forwarded it to my attorneys, honestly. Just apparently some people think it's very slanderous and actionable. So thank you for I can't remember the name who sent me that email earlier today, but thank you. I appreciate you making me aware. Some exciting news, which I'm not going to announce who yet, but got off the phone with somebody this morning. We're going to be having an addition to the Badlanders team, and I think you guys are going to like this individual. We'll make an announcement in a couple weeks once we get the details worked out with the show they want to do. So some exciting stuff in the works for you guys. Also, I am in Nashville, like I said. A reminder of why I'm in Nashville is for this Badlanders meetup. So tomorrow, today Thursday? Yeah, today's Thursday. So tomorrow, Friday, April 4th, 7 to 9 at the Fleet Street Pub. Make sure you guys RSVP, Eat More Plants to Thrive at protonmail.com. And then Saturday from 2 to 4 at the Cellar Bar. And I will be at the Friday one. I will not be able to make it to the Saturday one, but I think we have more RSVPs to the Saturday event. We'll have some other Badlanders or Badlands hosts there. So hope to meet you guys. If you're in the area, want to come enjoy the weather down here in Nashville. Super awesome right now. So I look so tired right now. I feel tired because I was like basically up on and off all night. But okay, let me see if I can share my screen. And I'm going to start with this Donald Trump post. Let's see. All right. So Trump posted this morning. Very interesting wording. Yesterday was Liberation Day, and we're going to get into, or Tuesday. Was Tuesday Liberation Day? Yesterday was Liberation Day. We're going to get into some of the tariff stuff. So, but this post itself is interesting, and you can take this a lot of different ways, but I'm going to read it. The operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. Is he talking about the tariffs? What is he talking about here? There's a lot of speculation about this, and it's all very interesting. You can go back and look at the April Fool, or not the April Fools, the chart that he always talks about from the assassination attempt, where he says he left office in April, or that's what the chart says, even though he never says directly that he left office in April. The chart says that, and he keeps pointing to the chart. And there's speculation about when he made that announcement way back when. And whether or not that was the implementation of devolution at that point. Now, I've never personally been of the mindset that that's the case. I think there's too much that happened between when that chart, was first shown, or the date pointed to on that chart, and when he actually walked away. A lot of those executive orders, executive actions came between the election and Joe Biden's inauguration. So that's why I've never been of that mindset. Not to say I'm right about it. And this post, if you're going to look at it from that perspective, kind of aligns with that theory a little bit. Like the operation is over, and the patient is the United States. It's us. Is this what that's referring to? The end of devolution, continuity government? I don't know. It's just a very interesting and notable post from Donald Trump here. Very deliberate, very on the nose. And this is definitely something we're going to talk about from a devolution perspective on Saturday's show. So I just had to highlight it because coming after Liberation Day, the devolution potential tangents here, it's all very, very interesting. And by the way, so because I can't watch the chat really good, I don't know if there's anybody in here that has my phone number and can text me if there's an issue. I'll try to remind myself to check on it as I go through, but just let me know if I'm missing anything. Okay, next up we got this, and there's a few stories from the Badlands website that are really interesting that I want to go through. So Department of Energy moves forward. Is this too wide? Hold on. Oh, that didn't change it. Okay, well, never mind. Sorry, these Macs are so different from what I'm used to. So anyway, Department of Energy moves forward with plans for AI data centers on federal land. This is very interesting. The Department of Energy is moving ahead with plans to permit companies to build AI data centers and new power plants on federal land using innovative energy technologies such as nuclear reactors, enhanced geothermal systems, fuel cells, carbon capture, energy storage, and on-site solutions to power the data centers. Proposed sites are located in states such as Texas, Illinois, New Jersey, and Colorado. The reason I love this is because we have so much federal land. I don't remember the exact details, and maybe it even said it in here. I don't think it does. We have so much federal land, federally owned land. And something I thought of a while ago is why not take all the federally owned land? Like, if you want to talk giving money back to America, take all the federally owned land, take all the land owned by other countries, and just essentially steal it from them. We shouldn't have other countries owning land in America. If any of these companies that own a bunch of federal land or land in general have participated in any of the corruption or crime, take that from them too, and then divvy it up. It's millions and millions of acres, more acres than we have numbers of legal citizens, and you can like divvy that up to people. And if they, I don't know how you divvy up locations, but not everybody's going to want their piece of land. They can just sell it. People will buy it. Other Americans can buy it, and I don't know how it would work out. But I've always been of the idea that it's our land. Why does the government own it? We should be the ones that own it. We should never allow another country to own our land. But if there's a way for us to benefit from it, that's great. But now that they're using this for industrial stuff like AI centers, this is a good move. This is what I want to see. Like, we shouldn't just have federal land sitting there and doing nothing, just sitting there. We should use it to benefit us. And especially if the AI data centers, and I don't know the full details of the plan here, they're just rolling through it. They're beginning construction, Department of Energy and whatnot. But if there's a way for us to financially benefit from this, so like if Oracle is going to use a federal property on top of just the investment and taxes and all those things, if it's federally owned land owned by us, the people, we should get additional benefits from allowing them to use that land. Does that make sense? And again, no idea how this would work, but from an America First standpoint, there's got to be a way for us to use this land in an America First manner instead of just having it all sit there. So love the idea, love the story. Curious to see how it is fully implemented. Okay, I haven't even fully read through this story here that I'm about to read to you guys, so we're going to learn what's going on together. But Trump has apparently fired multiple NSC members following Oval Office visit by Laura Loomer. Interesting. Several members of President Trump's National Security Council have been dismissed, according to a U.S. official and another source familiar with the situation who spoke to Axios on Thursday. The dismissals took place just one day after Laura Loomer visited the Oval Office and urged President Trump to remove NSC personnel. Although a direct connection between Loomer's visit and the firings was not verified, the source familiar described the move as being viewed as an anti-neocon action. According to the U.S. official, Loomer was upset that individuals she labeled as neocons had managed to bypass the vetting process for roles within the administration. She went to the White House yesterday and presented them with her research and evidence, the official stated. The New York Times initially reported on Loomer's visit. While the official suspected a link between the visit and the dismissals, they could not confirm it. The official mentioned that 2 senior members of the NSC had been fired and described the situation as escalating into a bloodbath. Axios is working to verify the identities of those affected. Another source indicated that multiple senior directors were among those dismissed. An NSC person declined to comment on the matter. It remains unconfirmed whether the fired officials had any involvement in a separate controversy regarding the use of Signal and private email accounts by National Security Advisor Michael Waltz and the NSC staff for discussing sensitive topics. During the height of the Signalgate scandal, Trump had considered firing Waltz, but chose not to, as reported by Axios, Mark Caputo, and Mike Allen. So this is just so interesting. I mean, Laura Loomer, how do I put this? Laura Loomer, I'm not a fan of, okay? And that might be an understatement. I don't like how she operates. Actually, I mean, I can appreciate how she operates a little bit. I can appreciate it. But some of the stuff she's done, I think she's just been straight out wrong And that's fine. I'm not saying you guys should not like Laura Loomer, and I'm not saying what she does isn't good. I'm just saying I don't necessarily agree with it, and I think she's been wrong on some things. And I don't know her personally. If this is true, that she actually like presented some information that has gotten some people fired, because she has sometimes like put out some really good information. Some of it she steals from people, and I think that's the reason I don't like it. I can't remember the exact name of the account. It's like I think the name is like Jonathan DFC or something. Like she's just straight up ripped his stuff and put her watermark on it and stole that as her own. That's the type of stuff that I can't stand, like content theft. And I think that's like really turned me off to her before. But if she came to the White House with research and got them to actually take action, that's pretty cool from the Trump administration's perspective. Like they're actually taking feedback from people with legitimate personnel concerns and acting upon it. Now, again, we don't have, Maggie Bundy says, amen, John, she's an attention whore. I'm not a fan of that behavior. Okay. But that doesn't mean the information is always wrong. See, this is what I'm saying. I didn't know how to say it, because like I'm not a huge fan of hers at all, but I respect some of the stuff she does. I don't like the content. I'm trying to present this in a good way. But the story here to me is the White House being receptive to information from the public and taking action on it. And then when it comes to personnel, that's big, because for whatever reason, these NSL personnel, they got in there, don't know who put them in there, how they got in there, probably on some recommendation. And is it that like there's some guy named Wong or something that was on the NSC staff that people are saying, oh, this is the guy who probably invited the journalist into the Signal chat and got this whole thing started. Is that true? If that's true, is that who got fired? Did she have information? I don't know. So it's just an interesting story. I don't love her. Not even sure I like her. I don't like her, but it's kind of cool. Like if I had an opportunity to go to the White House and be like, I think you should fire these people because of this reason, and my information was legit, it's pretty interesting and cool that they're taking that perspective from people. So, the Continental Marine says, listen to Loomer whenever she does an interview. She does this trained laugh at herself every 25 seconds. PJ Corrigan, Something Wong. Love that. I am able to watch the chat now, so if there's any issues. The Diligent, bold decision. Set up a meeting, bring data. Yep. No, Loomer is not the one we're adding to Badlands. I think you guys will like who it is. I just don't want to say it yet until they're ready to announce. Yes, Ted, this is what I'm talking about. Modern Homestead Acts. That's what we should do. Something with like this federal land. And there was talk. What happened to the new cities that Trump was talking about back during the campaign days? Have we seen any movement with that? I don't think I've heard of any of those. Like, I can't remember what they call them. 21st century cities or 15-minute cities or something. I don't remember. Cam is joining Badlands, but this is somebody else. Cam Cooksey is going to be doing his own show. He originally was going to start it. I think it's going to be on Saturdays. He was originally going to start it this weekend, but he's coming to Nashville, so it might be next weekend. But yeah, he was already announced. The DPHS posted last night. It was a fun one. But yeah, I love the homestead. Freedom Cities. That's what it is. Thank you, NC Patriot. We have not heard a peep about Freedom Cities. When are we getting those? Where's the list of cities? What happened to that? And this is something we gotta stay on top of, because like when Trump promised something on the campaign trail and we get excited about it, we shouldn't forget about it. We should make sure they follow through on the things they promise, right? So where's that at? I'll post on social media about this. We need to hold our feet to the fire. It's okay to do that, especially if it's good things that we want. I don't like how this setup is right now with my screen share being so tiny. I don't know how to fix it. So I apologize. Anyway, let's go to the next story here. Act Blue eased fraud policies twice during the 2024 campaigns. The changes made in April and September of 2024 resulted in more lenient standards that allow between 14 and 28 additional fraudulent contributions per month. I feel like we've read through this, or like we've had this story before, but I know there was some sort of congressional report or something that came out. So I'm not going to dwell on this too much. And I think CanCon would probably be the best one to follow in terms of what is really going on here. But the whole Win Red Act Blue stuff, we need to get rid of it. We need to change our entire process of how we do political campaign finance stuff and just political finance stuff in general. The lobbying should be gone. The way these Act Blue, Win Red stuff works should be gone. There's way too much possibility for corruption. And I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. But there's got to be a way to do more focus on grassroots stuff, grassroots financing and fundraising. Get rid of the big corporate donors and corporate lobbyists. But I think this is why I'm saying that is I think we're in the process here with the exposure of some of this stuff to get rid of this exactly, like this corruption. I don't know what the answer is, but I like seeing it exposed. Yeah, Bravest says, "What's the effing point of lobbyists?" Period. It's a money laundering thing. But this is how you leave Congress or whatever, leave your government job, you go to a multi-billion-dollar contracting company or whatever, government contractor, then you spend some of your money whining and dining these congressmen, donating to their campaigns, hiring their family members, and then they'll pass legislation that's beneficial for you to make you make more money and get better contracts to keep the cycle of corruption going. That's what it is. And so it needs to get rid of. There's so many aspects to our political system that need fixing and just complete removal. And as excited as I am about the Trump administration and what's happening now and having Trump back in, I shouldn't say Trump administration, having Trump back in office, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, and there's no better opportunity for it to happen. But we have so far to go before we actually see any progress. I don't think we've seen the progress yet. And that's why I'm very interested about the tariffs, which maybe this would be a good time to segue into the tariffs from yesterday. And this is from Forbes. I didn't get to watch the speech. But anyway, President Trump announced what he said were kind reciprocal tariffs against more than 180 countries Wednesday, along with a baseline tariff against other countries, delivering the most sweeping tariff package the U.S. has implemented in decades. He spoke from the Rose Garden, which Chris Paul sent me a story yesterday. I don't know if anybody's talked about it really publicly. Chris, I'm sure, has, but they're going to be doing some renovations at the Rose Garden, which is pretty interesting. We'll probably talk about that a little bit on Saturday too. He called the tariffs. He was announcing discounted reciprocal rates, noting that while they are steep, they don't match what countries charge the U.S. The following are the reciprocal tariffs Trump's announced on Wednesday. Any countries not on the list will have a baseline 10% tariff on any products coming into the U.S. The tariffs charged to the U.S. include currency manipulation and trade barriers, according to information provided by the administration, though the percentages could not be independently verified. There's a whole list of countries. We talked about this a little bit on the Power Hour last night, and if I'm being totally honest, I don't like, as Ash would say, equitable tariffs. If we're going to tariff a country, let me rephrase that. Trump again said these are going to be reciprocal. So if a country is tariffing us, we're going to tariff them right back the same amount. And in some cases, we're going to do more based on what's going on, whatever. Some of this trade war stuff. That isn't what we got. We didn't get what we were told we were going to get. And from an America First standpoint, I do not think we should be offering discounts to anybody, regardless of the reason. And this was the point I made last night. And I know Bernie Brett had some really good counter arguments, and he's probably more right than I am as far as why he's doing what he's doing. I think my argument is more principled, though, in terms of like America First principle, you know? So if another country has a tariff on us, there's no reason we should not match that tariff, regardless of whether or not our tariff is going to destroy that country. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what the other country, the effects on the other country. It's not about the other country. It's about America. And honestly, like us putting a tariff on another country that has the potential effect to destroy that country, you know what that's going to do? It's going to make that country change how they operate to make themselves more self-dependent. It's forcing them to become more sovereign and less dependent on us. It's forcing these countries away from globalism. And I get the argument of easing into it and maybe maybe there's other things that are going to be going on here behind the scenes. That's great. That's fine. We just don't know what that is. And so I choose not to operate on the wishful thinking when it comes to this stuff. And while I still trust Trump and I understand he knows far more information than I do, he knows way more about what he's doing with this. He's definitely more business savvy than I am. All these things. I'm just advocating for what I believe. And I do not believe in discounted tariffs. And this is better than we've ever had it too. Like I'm not trying to complain either. We haven't had this kind of tariffs, reciprocal tariffs at all, probably ever. Yeah, Kathy LaBelle, I think President Trump knows what he's doing. I'm not saying that he doesn't. I know he knows what he's doing. I know he has a reason for what he's doing. Not saying anything otherwise. I'm just saying that I'm arguing for the principles of it. This is better than we've ever had it. We've never had reciprocal tariffs like this, as far as I'm aware, at least not anytime recently. So it's a step in the right direction. But is it the full step that needs to be taken? I don't think so. I think from an America First standpoint, you put reciprocal tariffs at 100% rate of what they're charging us across the board, and then you go above and beyond that in the situations you need, where places like China are letting fentanyl come across the border, or Canada are being super Canadian and stuff. That's what I'm saying. But you go watch a show last night. Groovy Grandma, no one cares what you think. It's an interesting thing to say considering you're here watching. I don't know why you'd be here. If that was a joke, that was a good joke. But yeah, go watch a show last night. BB made some good counter arguments, and Ghost was there too. So, but I'm making it more. I'm making more of a point to continue arguing for the America First standpoint in all things. Like, and I'm not talking like, let's kind of do America First. Let's always advocate for the most America First standpoint we can get, and not stop till we get there. And if we don't get there, it is what it is. There's a good video from Miller on tariffs yesterday. Is that Stephen Miller? Let me see if I can find it. I've been kind of avoiding Twitter, but I can probably do a quick search. Ooh, is there a new story here breaking? Hold on. See, Chief Justice Roberts Prague visits sparks ethics debate. I will check that out. Let me see if I can find this video from Stephen Miller on tariffs. So hold for processing. Okay. I'm assuming, is this the video you are referring to? Whoever referred me to this in the chat. Don't remember who it was. Is this the video? Just gonna wait until I get an answer. Actually, I'll just press play, whatever. But Groovy Grandma, just listening to the news, not your opinion. You probably aren't gonna want to stay very long, but here we go.
Can you talk about the president's historical view on global trade and the tool of tariffs, or the use of tariffs, that he envisions, not just through Liberation Day today, but how he's used it over the years?
Yes. Well, the announcement today is the most significant action on global trade policy that has taken place in our lifetimes. It's not even a close call. I mean, this is probably the biggest event that's happened on global trade since the very ill-fated decision that we are now reversing, of knocking down all of America's trade tariffs and revenue policies that led to the offshoring and outsourcing of all of our industries. So this is the great reversal of that great portrayal, is how I look at it. So in the 20th century, successive American presidents knocked down all of the policies that we had to protect American industry. And they did insane things like letting China into the World Trade Organization, as an example. And we watched all of our factories go overseas. This is the complete reversal of that. This is the great onshoring, the great reshoring of American jobs and wealth. So if you look at America today, we're totally dependent on foreign countries for the supplies that make this country run, for all of the essential goods, materials, manufactured products that make it possible for us to live our lives. Our cars, our electronics, all the materials that go into our homes, our buildings, our medical supplies, our entire supply chains are completely embedded in foreign countries. So if there's a national emergency of any kind, and a country shuts off an import, or a foreign power embargoes a sea lane, we are then left defenseless, helpless, because of the decisions that prior leaders made that President Trump is now reversing to let all of these industries leave our country. And so what he's doing today is, for the first time ever, he's saying that if you have stolen our jobs and therefore threatened our national security, we will apply a reciprocal tariff based on the degree of your misconduct. So for countries like China, for example, they will see a very high tariff rate because they've engaged in the most egregious conduct that threatens our national security. For countries that have severe but not as severe misconduct, they'll see a moderate but not as high tariff rate. The effect, though, of those global tariffs will be that companies will have to move their production back into the United States. So factories will leave, whether it be Mexico or Canada or Vietnam or Cambodia or China or the European Union. They will come back to the United States to produce their products, to make their goods. And in so doing, yes, it will create jobs. Yes, it will increase revenues. But most importantly, it will restore our national security so that we will not be dependent on anyone else to survive and thrive as a nation. That's the significance we're talking about today, the most important economic event of our lifetimes.
And
I love that. He's so good. Like, he's so smart. He's brilliant. Stephen Miller, he's so well spoken too. Man, I wish I could get some of the well speaking ability he's got. But he's right. And I mean, obviously he's right. Very significant move, these tariffs. It will help with national security. And some of what he says there about it being almost like a little payback for these countries that have been kind of screwing us over, the ones that are going above and beyond. I kind of like that. So I do kind of see a little bit about, you know, some of the discounted reciprocal stuff. You countries haven't been taking advantage of us for decades. You countries have been allies and friends to us. You've been treating us right, so I'm going to treat you right. And from that perspective, I totally get it. That's kind of how I try to operate in my own personal life. You know, you give people the benefit of the doubt. You want to believe people are good, and so you treat them right, and you do favors and whatever, borrow money and whatever, you name it. But then when they screw you over, it's like, okay, well, game over. It's war then, whatever. And that's kind of their approach they seem to be taking with the tariffs. And so from that perspective, I like it. From the America First perspective, I would still say 100% across the board, and then some for the other people. But it is what it is. Let's see how it does. I'm very excited to see the finances from this, the economic finances. So and next story here, Trump considers announcing external revenue service as part of new trade agenda. He's contemplating announcing the launch of what he has termed the External Revenue Service, which I feel like we already had this announcement too. So it's interesting. As the White House rolls out a new trade agenda and begins collecting tariff revenues from countries worldwide, according to sources familiar with the planning. He has previously explained that the External Revenue Service, designed as a contrast to the domestic tax collection, let me zoom in here, agency, would serve as a government entity to collect tariffs, duties, and all revenue that come from foreign sources. In February, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick described Trump's vision as a straightforward to abolish the Internal Revenue Service and let all the outsiders pay, as stated on Fox News' Jesse Waters primetime. As Wednesday afternoon, details regarding Trump's final decision remained uncertain. Trump is expected to outline his tariff strategy during a Rose Garden event scheduled for 4 p.m. So was this yesterday? What's the date today? April 3rd. So, okay, so this is yesterday. And I don't know if they got into the details of that. I'm going through some of the stories from yesterday that I didn't get to talk about. So I may be behind on some of this stuff, and I apologize, but I don't know if they announced anything in terms of the External Revenue Service. And you know, you see all these projections about how much income we're going to make off of this. I am curious what it's actually going to look like. So those are just projections. You can't forecast what people are actually going to do. And I want to see how this affects the sovereign wealth fund that we're going to have, the effect this has on our taxes, and all sorts. I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at this. So I'm very curious to see. And I do think this is going to affect, as we said last night in the DPH, which again, I highly encourage you to go watch. I do think these tariffs are going to spark us getting into the definition of a recession. We're going to be in a recession definitionally. but it's not going to feel like a recession as we commonly think of what a recession is. So, next story here, Trump administration plans executive order to ease military export rules. They're preparing an executive order to loosen regulations on military equipment exports with an announcement expected as early as Tuesday or Wednesday, according to sources. So take that for what it is. Sources from both government and industry circles indicated that the order is likely to mirror legislation proposed last year by Trump's national security advisor, Michael Waltz. The legislation introduced when Waltz was a Republican member of the House of Representatives aimed to amend the U.S. Arms Export Control Act by raising the dollar thresholds that trigger congressional review of arms exports. If enacted, the proposed changes would increase the minimum amounts from $14 million to $23 million for arms transfers and from $50 million to $83 million for military equipment sales, upgrades, training, and other services. Higher thresholds would apply to NATO members and key U.S. allies, including Australia, blah, 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 requiring a 15-day notification before transfer compared to the 30 days for other countries. It could benefit major U.S. defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin, RTX Corp., and Boeing, by streamlining the process for foreign arms sales. During his first term, Trump frequently voiced frustration over Congress delaying arms deals due to human rights or other concerns. In 2019, citing tensions with Iran, Trump declared a national emergency to bypass congressional review, facilitating the sale of over $8 billion worth of weapons to Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Jordan. At the time, the lawmakers have been blocking sales to Saudi Arabia and those countries because of human rights stuff and the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. I don't know how I feel about this one. And I may need to dig in a little further, but I don't know. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't trust Congress, right? I don't trust them being the ones to have the congressional review over these arms exports. So that's issue number one. And I don't know who I would trust to do it, but it's definitely not Congress or probably anybody in government or outside of government. I don't trust anybody. So let's just scrap the whole idea. No, let's just scrap it. None of it should happen. But raising the threshold means less, the smaller amount of weapon sales will go through easier. And I'm definitely not on board for anybody to anything to benefit the defense contractors. If you're going to tell me some sort of proposed executive order or legislation is going to benefit a defense contractor, I'm going to automatically say, I don't want it. So that's where I'm at. So I don't know. Don't know how I feel about that one. In the chat here, no tariffs on Russia. Yes, that is interesting. Israel lowered their tariff to 0 against us, but we put a 17% tariff on them. That's notable. We talked about it last night. Ukraine has a baseline 10% tariff. Crazy. The European Union has tariffs. Russia does not. Love it. I think it's hilarious and absolutely love it. It's like leaning fully into the Trump and Putin are allies. Hunter Biden agrees to disbarment from DC law practice. I can't believe he still had his license in the first place. But on Tuesday, Biden filed a sealed affidavit acknowledging his consent to disbarment as shown by records from DC Court of Appeals. His law license was suspended immediately from the practice of law in June of 2024 following his felony conviction, even though he got a pardon and all that stuff going back to 2014. He apparently still had his law license. I don't know who would hire him as a lawyer. But as of Wednesday morning, Biden's status with the Washington, D.C. bar remains listed as temporary disciplinary suspension. But now he's back in the mix. I am curious to see if they pick up the stuff with him again, because I do have a story. I think it's this one. Yeah, let's do this story. This will be a good segue. Trump appointed U.S. attorney probes validity of Biden pardons. Heck yes. Interim U.S. attorney Ed Martin is investigating whether Joe Biden was competent to issue pardons during his final days in office. Inquiry includes previously undisclosed letters to Biden's family and former White House staff. 2 months ago, Martin began sending voluntary letters, not subpoenas, to former Biden aides, including ex-White House Chief of Staff Jeffrey Zients, as well as to pardon recipients such as Biden's brother James and sister-in-law Sarah. The letters request information to assess the legitimacy of the pardons and hint at potential further investigation. Senate Democrats have called for a formal investigation into Martin by the D.C. legal bar. On Tuesday, Adam Schiff announced plans to block the Senate from voting on Martin's nomination, of course. President Trump has endorsed Martin's actions, nominating him to permanently lead the U.S. Attorney's Office and lauding his commitment to law and order. Trump has also asserted that some of Biden's pardons are invalid, claiming they were signed using the mechanical auto pen without Biden's knowledge, and Biden likely lacked the mental capacity to authorize the pardons. That's a very polite way to say it, that he likely lacked the mental capacity. Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One last month, I don't need to read all that, but I think I'll read the rest of that. I don't have the highlight feature on here. So normally I read the articles and highlight what I want to read on the show. Since I don't have that feature pulled up right now, it makes it a little difficult to remember exactly what my point was. Okay, but so the Biden thing. Hunter Biden, he's now no longer a lawyer, but his convictions were dropped. And I'm curious if this Ed Martin investigation into whether or not the pardons were legitimate is going to ultimately end up finding that they are not legitimate. And then what happens to the cases? So if you were pardoned by somebody and you had your case thrown out, you're in the middle of being convicted and all these things, and the pardon goes back many years for other crimes. But if that pardon is removed and considered no longer valid, I don't know if there's a process to just pick back up where it left off before. I wonder if you have to start the whole process over. Like, that's the part I'm curious about. Like, how does that work? Not being a lawyer and not familiar with any time in history something like this has ever happened. How does that work? Very curious. But I think that's where this is going. It has to be. What's the point of Trump in appointing somebody to look into this unless the goal is to remove the pardon? And what's the goal of removing the pardons unless the goal is to go after them for their crimes? Does that make sense? Like, this first step wouldn't matter if you weren't ultimately going to go after these people. If you weren't ultimately going to go after these people for the crimes, you wouldn't bother looking into the pardon stuff, right? So I think this is a big story. It's not just a surface level, oh, Biden was illegitimate. He was illegitimate because of the election stuff. This is different. I think they're going to end up going after these people by the time this is all said and done. So very excited about it. Okay, Kremlin negotiator to visit Washington for talks as Trump seeks to mend relations. This is just part of the whole Russia-Ukraine saga. We're still trying to figure out. It's like every other day there's a new aspect, and it's almost every time it's a rerun. First, Zelensky's ready for peace. Then he agrees to the mineral deal. Oh wait, no, he doesn't want the mineral deal anymore because he doesn't want the mineral deal to be treated as a loan. He doesn't want our previous aid to be treated as a loan. He doesn't want to have to pay it back. Okay, now he's not going to agree to any deal. Okay, well, United States and Russia, we're not going to agree to any deal unless you hold an election there. Okay, Zelensky's on board with elections now. And then it just repeats the cycle over and over and over again. But it continues. I think at some point, probably within the next month by now, because I think it was a couple of weeks ago, it was announced that Trump's first, or maybe it was last week, Trump's first visit is going to be Saudi Arabia, his first foreign trip. But they want to do it after the peace talks, after there is peace between Russia and Ukraine. And there's some other stuff going on. You know, the Russia's parade, their freedom parade or whatever. Trump, after his first initial phone call with Putin, said that in the very near future, we're going to have, I'm going to go there. He's going to come here. But first, we're going to have peace. So at some point, this has to wrap up. Who knows when? I had some other stories on tariffs, but I don't think I'm going to get into them. Skip that. Let's see what else we got. It is funny how the mainstream media is. Oh my gosh, no way. Pence to receive JFK Profiling Courage Award for 2020 election certification. That's funny. I'm not going to concede on Pence yet, but it's not looking good, guys. It's not looking good for Pence. I will say still, a majority of the arguments against Pence typically come from a lack of actual evidence, but the circumstantial evidence has definitely been piling up. And I may have been wrong on him, but we'll see. That's a funny one though. But anyway, my point of showing this page is it's interesting to see, as always, how the mainstream media is trying to gaslight us over the tariffs and fear porn over what Trump is doing with the tariffs and how it's going to impact the economy. The fatal flaw in Trump's trade war. This could get much uglier. Wall Street recoils at Trump's trade war. Gaslighting. I don't think it's going to be as bad as they think. It might be bad in the short term, like might feel a little pain for sure, but maybe we might not have to go through any of the pain because top Republican leads bill to reassert Congress tariff power amid Trump trade war. Crazy. Senator Chuck Grassley, a senior Republican lawmaker from the farm-heavy state of Iowa, is spearheading new legislation that would reassert Congress's authority over tariffs amid President Donald Trump's trade war escalation. The measure, jointly introduced Thursday with Senator Maria Cantwell, would limit the president's power to impose tariffs. It would require the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of such an imposition. For Congress to explicitly approve any new tariffs within 60 days, the bill would also allow Congress to end any tariff at any time. No, absolutely not. Screw you, Congress. You're illegitimate. This is totally unconstitutional, in my opinion, and I don't like it. Do not like it at all. Weird move for Grassley to do, of all things. But Congress is slowly encroaching, and have been for decades, but they're slowly encroaching onto the presidential power. These unelected, illegitimate, fraudulent Congress people have been usurping the presidential power, which in itself is, you could argue, is too big too. Like all these branches have just been growing and becoming bloated with power, and they don't even know whose power ends where now. Like all of these, they're like sponges. Think of it like that. You have 3 sponges in a bowl. When you put them in there, they're completely dry, right? And none of them are touching. None of them are touching. Then you start pouring the power in the water, and they all start to get a little bigger and bigger and bigger. And now they're all overlapping, and nobody knows who does what. Nobody knows where the Constitution, like their constitutional role, begins and the other one ends. And they're all fighting over each other. And this is kind of the whole point of what's going on right now. We talk about this a lot, but absolutely not. I do not like this. Stay in your lane. It's happening with the judicial branch. It's definitely been happening with Congress. And you could make the argument for sure that it's happened with the president long ago too. We need to backtrack on all this stuff and go back to the original Constitution, like we've been saying, at least pre 1871 or whatever, 14th Amendment, at least pre that. It's been bad. Anyway, oh, this is hilarious. Gotta find. Actually, no, I'll get to that story in a second. Let's do this one first. Ford Motor Company is going to offer employee pricing to all U.S. shoppers. It's a handshake deal with every American. I wonder what that price is. U.S. shoppers will be able to save on Ford vehicles this spring through a new initiative called From America for America. American consumers will have access to Ford's employee pricing from April 3rd through June 2nd. This means customers will pay the same amount as Ford workers, which is below the dealer invoice price, but they didn't say how much below. I wonder what the actual cost and all this stuff is. I never really looked into it. I should have used Brave browser for this. The ads are out of control right now. Electric vehicle shoppers through Ford's Power Promise will also receive a complimentary home charger. This is pretty cool though, like giving a discount to American people. Are they going to then give the employees an even bigger discount? I don't know. We got this. Oh, I guess I've told people to text me if there's issues, but I haven't even been paying attention to my phone. I think we're good. Okay. The DNC, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are suing Trump over his EO to block non-citizens from voting. I should tell you everything we need to know. Now, it's a post from Libs from TikTok, and I haven't dug into the actual case. So it is possible that this is not actually what the lawsuit is, but I've seen this posted by multiple people, and this is just a picture of like the front page of it. It doesn't say anything necessarily about what the case is about, but considering I saw it from multiple sources, I believe it to be true. But just think about what this means. Think about it. They are suing Trump over his executive order to block non-citizens from voting. They want non-citizens voting because that is part of how they steal elections, guys. Okay, now this is the funniest story. We should call this the Swalwell law. The United States is banning government personnel in China from romantic or sexual relations with Chinese citizens. I'm curious how they're going to monitor and enforce this. But the U.S. government has banned American government personnel in China, as well as family members and contractors with security clearances, from any romantic or sexual relationships with Chinese citizens, the Associated Press has learned. 4 people with direct knowledge on the matter told the AP about it. It was put into effect by departing U.S. Ambassador Nicholas Burns in January, shortly before he left China. Some agencies already had strict rules in such relationships. A blanket non-fraternization policy, as it is known, has been unheard of publicly since the Cold War. It's pretty funny. Like, how are they going to monitor that? But yes, Bright Star 45, no more fang, fang, bang, bang. That is too funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree. We probably shouldn't do that if we're, because you know, if you're working at an embassy in China or any of these countries, there's intelligence agencies everywhere. They're going to be trying to honeypot people all the time. But this is just so funny. It's funny that they actually, like, it's out there, it's public. They're doing it. Amazon has joined the bidding war for TikTok as the deadline for the sale approaches. I wonder if Trump's going to extend it, honestly. But with the TikTok clock counting, with the deadline coming to sell or face a ban in the U.S., the battle to buy the app is intensified. Amazon has now sent a letter to the Trump administration to join the bidding war. President Trump said over the weekend there are lots of potential buyers and said he'd like to keep the app alive. The administration has set an April 5th deadline for the app to be banned if it is not sold by the Chinese Communist-owned parent company ByteDance. Trying to see if there's any other. Okay, the mobile tech company AppLovin and a group including tech giant Oracle have also made bids to buy the app. Even if Trump approves the deal, China will still need to sign off on it, and that's going to be the most interesting part. So we shall see what happens. I would like to see TikTok stay alive if we can get somebody to buy it who will actually unleash like freedom of speech on the platform. It's so stupid that, and this is something I'm still struggling with, and this is why, you know, we probably get accused of being doomers or, you know, whatever. We don't sit here and cheerlead everything Trump does, because he came out with that executive order. The administration came out with the executive order on free speech, but we haven't actually seen any free speech movement yet. YouTube is still the same. We still can get strikes over there. We still have gotten strikes over there. TikTok, we can barely stream over there. We started our Instagram account. We have the Instagram account, and we had a video, like our third or fourth video on the platform, got 1 million views. And since then, we seem to struggle to top 2,000. And after that first video, we got like 9,000 followers. It was really exciting. Like, oh my gosh, maybe we're finally unleashed on this platform. There's no restrictions. And then now it's like we haven't gotten more than 100 followers or 200 followers in the last month or something. You know, like it's just been very. It's like, okay, we see what you're doing here now. We better put those chains back on you guys, because God forbid we allow actual free speech and unchained algorithms to work. They just don't do it. That's why it's so political. But like, isn't it weird? Like Jackie says, it's because you were a new account, probably. Yeah, your new account on there. They don't have the censorship algorithms in place, and so we're able to get 1 million views. Imagine if we didn't have those censorship algorithms at the beginning. What would that mean? It's just unfortunate, and I wish we'd actually see some movement on it instead of you know, like gaslighting us. That's kind of what it feels like. They put these executive orders out there. They talk about these things, and again, Trump administration separate things. Keep that in mind. Trump operating in his own way, administration doing other things. Because the administration are the ones that are expected to carry out this stuff. And that's where I'm seeing it fall behind. Trump is implementing the agenda, but it's not being carried out as we're being told it is. And we're supposed to sit here and celebrate it. I'll celebrate it once we actually see movement on it. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, well. Yeah, this is a story. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but Chief Justice Roberts reportedly spent a week at the residence of Norm Eisen. If that's true, holy crap. That is, wow. If that's true. Norm Eisen. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch this. I'm gonna have to get Mike Benz on to talk about this. Norm Eisen is like the Color Revolution guy. It was a long time ago, Kathleen Bell. Okay. Well, still, that's like a huge story. Oh, I'm sorry. I still have no more fang, bang, bang on the screen. I'll dig into that and maybe talk about it tomorrow, because I'm doing the show tomorrow unless I get no sleep again tonight. We'll see. But okay, that's all I have for you guys tonight or today. Hit that thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. If you're in Nashville, once again, reminder, come hang out with us tomorrow and Saturday, even though I won't be there Saturday. But Friday is going to be a great time. Saturday's going to be a great time as well. Lots of great people here. What else do I got? Oh, do I have rants? See if I can figure out how to look for rants here. Poster for Hope says, I don't think Americans are ready for the hikes in our prices. We are a consumer-driven, we are a consumer-driven economy. Yes, we are, but that might not be a good thing. And how else do you stop being a consumer-driven economy unless you change your behavior? Let's see. I thought I saw one more come through. Tovany boy here. Hey, Ty, that's so nice of you. He was buying me drinks last night. I think he bought my dinner last night too, because I had to run back for the power hour. And now he's giving me $5 in a Rumble rant. Yeah, you're too kind, my man. But here's $5 for Badlands to buy TikTok. Good luck. You know what? We should put in an offer. We'll put in an offer, and it's not going to be a big offer. It's probably just going to be the $5 we got from Ty right there. But we do good with TikTok. That'll be our proposal. We do better. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure you stick around Badlands. All the great content as always. And I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern for Daily Herald again. You guys have a great rest of your day.
0, 1,
Extra, read all about it.
2, 3. Let's get started.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.